Welcome to CobbleStone's Contract Insight Enterprise. It is our system of record repository for contracts, requests, and legal committals. What we're looking at right now is one of 11 of the out-of-the-box graphical dashboards that we offer. Overall, graphical dashboards provide a very wide representation of information, excellent for high-level users, administrators, department heads, or really anybody who wants a bird's eye view of what's going on. The one in particular in front of us provides a volume of contracts, vendors, and employees on the left. In the center, we have a pie chart of every single contract broken down by their status, so a great understanding of where every single contract is in their pipeline. And we also have contracts by departments on the right, which is a nice way to look at the workload each team might have. This short demonstration, we're going to be covering two different methods on how to add agreements to the system. The first method we're going to be taking a look at is through CobbleStone's AI model, our premium AI model called Wisdom Plus. To do so, we're going to drag and drop a file. We can presume that we've just been emailed this or it's been on our desktop right into the top right corner of the screen. And after I do that, the system is going to ask me what type of record I'm looking to create with it. Of course, we will be choosing contract, but the same method can be applied to other record types as we see in front of us. When choosing contract, the system is going to be doing a few things for me. One, it's going to be combing through the entire agreement, finding key information, and putting them into fields for us. Automatically filling in these fields is going to very much streamline the process of getting these contracts into the system. If we typically fill in 10 fields and this handles 4 or 5, that's already half the entry done for us. Now on top of that, the system is also going to be analyzing the information, the provisions within, and provide me with some insight on exactly what I should be focusing on and potentially how I can even approach a certain way of negotiation or a certain way of redlining. So in the center of the screen, we're going to be looking at those open data fields. Some of them have been automatically filled out for us. Contract title, type of contract, counterparty name. On the right of the screen, we also have a preview of the agreement. So this is an excellent resource on additional information that we might need to key in otherwise. But if I wanted to take a closer look at what the AI is suggesting, what we can do is I can open up this high-risk findings tab. This is going to break out clauses that the system deems high risk. It's also going to provide me with a little bit of reasoning as to why. This way, your users are going to have a nice starting point on exactly how they might want to read this agreement. What else I can do with this is I can leverage CobbleStone's agentic AI. I can copy this language here and open up this chatbot. I'm going to ask it, why is, I'll paste that clause, so risky? Usually when it comes to questions like this, it gives us a nice list as to why it might be risky, as well as giving us some suggestions on how we can approach it. So as we'll see, it's given us 5 reasons that it might be risky for us to review. And then finally, at the bottom, some recommendations. If we're looking for a different style of insight, what else we can do is leverage this Wisdom Assist option. The Sentiment tab within here allows us to change the perspective of the user when it comes to reviewing this agreement. So for example, I want to view this contract through the eyes of the company. This breaks out clauses into 3 different ranks: positive, negative, and neutral. So luckily, the company is in pretty good standing with this language. But I can change to whoever I'd like, legal consultant, let's say, and it shifts the rankings accordingly. If you're looking for something a little bit more towards drafting agreements, what we'll do instead is we're going to add a contract record from scratch. In the main menu, we'll just choose Contract and add Contract Record. Now in this case, I will be making the decision of what type of agreement I'm looking to add. This type list here is just an option or an example of some options that I might have in my system. For those of you watching who might not be familiar with some or don't expect to be using any, not a problem. We can completely configure this list to meet your needs. We'll choose Consulting Agreement and Continue. And we're going to be looking at the open data fields related to this particular type of agreement. Let's fill in some data here. And let's talk about some more significant fields, starting with status. So the reason I wanted to point out status is because in today's demonstration, we have a workflow process set up that whenever a new contract is entered under this pending status, a workflow is going to kick off to get this contract drafted, seen, reviewed, and signed. Now, your processes might be a little bit more nuanced than that. Maybe a certain dollar threshold or a certain department needs to be taken into consideration to determine who needs to review this agreement. Every single field that we see in front of us, every single field that you create yourself is able to be used as workflow criteria. The idea here is I'm just entering in the information as I see it in front of me, as I see fit, and the system will handle the rest for me. Now, before we get onto the next screen, some other things I wanted to mention are within the date fields. These are going to be the cornerstone of the alerts that you'll be receiving regarding your contracts. So let's plug in a proposed effective date of October 1st. And it's going to be a 1-year long term, let's say. When October rolls around next year, we'll be sent an alert letting us know that this contract has expired. Very likely a little too late. We might need to review or revise, get ready for termination, get ready for renewal. That is not the only alert you'll be receiving under this agreement. The next field here, contract notify days. This will be the number of days prior to that expiration date that we're sent another alert. It's 60 by default in my system. We can always change this to whatever standard you have. And then annual review date is going to be sending us yet another alert. But in this case, it's a chosen date. So if I wanted one halfway through the term, I can just plug in April of next year. Saving and continuing is going to bring us into the contract record. We can consider this the home page of the agreement. It's going to hold all that information that we've just input, as well as offer us some of the tools. Now, if you're using the system with a fully established workflow, the thing that you're probably going to get used to doing when you come to a contract record like this is taking a look at that task section. That's going to be telling you exactly where this contract's at right now, where it might have been, and where it's going. In my task section, we'll have a task waiting for me called Prepare for Review. This task has its own start date, end date, notify days, and alert date. These are going to be working exactly as those date fields previously I mentioned. Now I need to prepare this contract for review, but as we can see up top, we've successfully merged a consulting agreement into this contract record. Let's take a closer look at that. In my attachments and templates area, we have a consulting agreement waiting for me automatically. We're going to open that up. Pulling this over on the right, we're going to be seeing the agreement that the system just drafted for us, and on the left, we're seeing the boilerplate or template itself. When building templates within the system, you simply choose what information from a record needs to feed into your agreements. The system will then provide you with these placeholders, and from there, it's just simply a matter of copying and pasting the placeholders into your boilerplate. Now, in front of us, we see very basic information be pulled in: company name, type name, effective date. But this same concept applies to clauses as well. We offer an internal clause library, and on top of that, you can actually set up rules around your clauses to only extract into your contracts when those rules are met. So this elevates the template tool into a document assembly tool as well. Now, since we're in Word, let's take a closer look at some other things. CobbleStone offers a complimentary Word plugin. This allows you to access that agentic AI directly in Word and upload documents right back into the system where you started. Opening the side pane on the right here accesses that AI tool. And what I can do right out of the gate is I can choose Wisdom Summary. What the system is going to do is, once again, read through the file, just like we saw earlier, provide us with a summary of the agreement, some riskier or certain language that might need a closer look. But this time, we're actually going to be able to surgically redline the agreement based on the AI's suggestions. As we'll see, we get a quick summary, some findings here. So for example, we see the payment terms could benefit from additional detail, some next steps, and then of course, the suggested red lines. Now, this is not going to assume anything. It's not going to make any changes for you. It simply provides additional insight on how you can approach certain provisions. It gives me the opportunity to review exactly what it's suggesting, and if I feel like it's appropriate, we can always go ahead and replace that language. We'll enable track changes for this. And we'll see right in front of us, red lines have been made. Once I'm happy with any changes, we can go on to the next clause and continue accordingly. This, of course, applies to both third-party agreements in review and your own paper during a negotiation. Getting back into the system, let's take a look at CobbleStone's proprietary electronic signature tool. We call it IntelliSign. Opening up this document toolbox on the left here allows me to send this contract out for signature, and I can sign it myself. We'll just sign it ourselves for today. We're going to click IntelliSign now. And this will open up a window for me to find that signature block and put my signature down. Very, very straightforward. And when inviting third parties to this, they essentially follow the same steps. Thank you so much for joining today's presentation. If any more information is necessary or you'd like a deeper dive into the topics that we talked about today, feel free to reach out to CobbleStone Software, and we'd be more than happy to schedule a more targeted demonstration. Thanks so much.